Hey you, welcome back to the channel. And today we want to talk EOS big announcement coming up on June the 1st. And is EOS copying Bitcoin MYK? So we're going to talk about that a little bit today in the video. Should be interesting. So we're beginning to see steps in EOS making arrangements for this event. We know that they've unlocked a great amount of EOS. I think it's something like about, I think it might be like $70 million worth of EOS if I'm not mistaken. It's a lot. EOS has a huge war chest from that large ICO they did and raised like $4 billion. So whatever they put their minds to and their direction on, it's probably going to have a big impact and probably going to be something significant. Now, what could it be? Well, there have been a few speculations. A lot of people think it's going to end up being Steemit 2.0. This is a large social network that's going to rival every social network up to this point. EOS is performing very well. It's I think it's around $7 now, so it's taken off. And after this announcement, it's probably going to move even further up, depending on the gravity of the announcement and exactly how good it is. If it is Steemit 2.0, it's going to be pretty darn big. The amount of RAM that they're purchasing with this 40 to 70 million dollars, whatever the amount is going to make the system robust to handle, the scale, at an unprecedented level. So they're going to be able to do a lot. Now, the interesting thing is it's a lot of speculation out there what this is. Some of it seems to be a combination of things. Some people are saying it's Steemit 2.0 with universal basic income combined, where now you're going to have social networks and your contribution paid kind of in a mixture of this universal basic income. Don't know if that's true, but these in polling and votes and data, these two things seem to be the most anticipated: universal basic income and this Steemit 2.0 to rival Steemit. Now, many of you all who watch the channel know I'm a big proponent of Steemit. I have Bitcoin MYK project is integrated into Steemit. We have a Steemit front end site you're looking at right now, and I can tell you, if this happens, guys, this is going to be the only BitcoinMYK.com. I'm thinking it's going to be the only Steemit project that can hold a candle, Steam-based project, to what EOS is doing. And thank goodness there is a BitcoinMYK.com to provide competition, because I know, as a lot of you all know, competition is good. It makes better products, and I like EOS. There's some stuff I don't like about EOS, but I like EOS. I like Steem blockchain. I like both of these products because they're so similar. They're built by the same person, so it's natural to like them both. But Steemit has built up a good community over the years, and a lot of people just love Steemit still. But this is going to be something that's going to be a big problem for Steemit.com, and the slowness behind Steemit.com's development will not help in this case if this is true. We know for a long time now, Dan Larimer has had his mind focused on two things. One has been something like Steemit 2.0, and the other thing has been universal basic income. Now, has EOS copied BitcoinMYK.com? What I believe to be the only competition that will be able to even hold a candle to what EOS may bring. Well, to be fair, we have to take it back. So when EOS start talking about universal basic income, BitcoinMYK.com wasn't established yet, right? We kind of took the ball and ran with it, and I think we're doing the best job on UBI that's been seen so far, concept wise, right? So in that idea, then EOS had the idea first, although BitcoinMYK.com actually did the development, I think, of it first in the sense of we have a functioning universal basic income program. Now, there was a part I left out of some of the EOS big announcements, and this might be the part where it's kind of a little bit of, I would say, a little bit of copying here. With first BtcMyk.com, maybe I guess you could say us copying universal basic income to us in a sense from EOS. But then another big announcement now is that EOS will be used as a side chain for Bitcoin. Now, why Bitcoin? And how interesting does that sound? EOS being used as a side chain for Bitcoin, meaning now Bitcoin holders can move and facilitate, move their Bitcoin fast using EOS, using the EOS blockchain. That is so exciting. I think that is so interesting. And it is so much, very much like BtcMyk.com. BtcMyk.com does the same thing. It has universal basic income. It's already functioning. And we facilitate the movement of Bitcoin value across several blockchains. So we're going to talk a little bit about the differences, why our project is so excited about this, and why we love the fact that EOS is going to do this. We think EOS gets it. Unlike a lot of other cryptocurrencies, EOS is starting to get it. Our visions are starting to align. And if you're a BtcMyk.com holder, I'm going to tell you why that's going to help us out a lot and why that's going to be so significant. So here's the next part to this that's so very important. We always said in the beginning, in universal basic income, there isn't really competition. If one of us wins, we all win. And if EOS does this, and I hope they do, we're all going to win, because the way universal basic income works, more than likely, what will happen is when people get accustomed to using universal basic income based systems, they're not going to just use one, right? They're going to go, okay, this works great, so I like this. Is there any other projects out there doing the same thing? And they're probably going to use a multiple a group of them, right? I know I would. Like if I found 2 or 3 great universal basic income programs, I wouldn't just use one. I would use 1, 2, or 3, because I love universal basic income programs. Now, the problem has been that the ones that exist, they aren't sustainable. It's only up until now that projects like EOS, if it's true with EOS, I know it's true with us, BtcMyk.com, it's only up until now we've really created universal basic income programs that are sustainable. And how is that? With EOS, they will be using their annual inflation. Inflation occurs in every cryptocurrency, even Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's not really deflationary. That is a myth. The inflation is controlled, and EOS inflation, a portion of that will be given out to the UBI recipients, universal basic income recipients. The next part to this is BtcMyk.com does a similar thing, but instead of using inflation, it uses a series of proof of participation and the value from the participation, completing offers, advertising, a variety of things on the BtcMyk.com site that get redistributed back out in the form of universal basic income program. In both models, they account for sustainable universal basic income sustainability, right? So EOS is doing all of this in the speculation, and if it's true, and if not all of it is true, I believe a good portion of it is true, it's gonna be great for the cryptocurrency space. BtcMyk.com is gonna go up and move alongside EOS, because we're going to be essentially the same products, with BtcMyk now being a kind of a direct competitor to EOS in that area, but not being a competitor, because UBI coins aren't competitors, right? But now, as far as the facilitation of Bitcoin, there might be some competition there. Now, the differences are, and this is what I think will hurt EOS in this case, and a lot of EOS people in the EOS community I have agreed with this statement I'm about to make in a variety of ways. But EOS will, if they attempt to facilitate Bitcoin in this way, the Bitcoin will now be able to scale, move fast. A lot of problems with Bitcoin to be solved, right? Now, the only issue with this is, although that will work great in theory, part of the problem with EOS is that, well, it's not really a problem, but let's just say it would have a limited feature and function of what BitcoinNYK.com does. Yes, you would be able to do this over the EOS network blockchain, but with BitcoinNYK.com, we're a universal bridge cryptocurrency facilitating Bitcoin, meaning we can move from several blockchains. Now, the problem is we've now made a choice to limit our blockchains, and so we will still have a leg up on EOS in that regard, but not a huge leg up, and I'll explain to you why. So EOS will just stick to the EOS blockchain, and they'll be able to scale, and Bitcoin holders will find it easier just to use EOS and certain methodologies in that way, right? But now, what hinders BitcoinNYK.com, what makes it able to move Bitcoin, facilitate value from different blockchains, is that we've lately made a decision to stick to blockchains that have very easily wallets that can be used very easily, right? We believe that is very important. We believe the complexities in wallets is what is hindering mass adoption, is what's going to stop a lot of mass adoption. And with the introduction of UBI, there are going to be a lot of people coming in from outside of cryptocurrency and joining in. That's why it's a mass adoption vehicle, that you do not have to be a cryptocurrency nerd. You do not have to be a cryptocurrency tech person to be able to now participate in this. As well, a very easy social network user interface. You just sign in 1 minute, you got cryptocurrency and you got your wallet. That's how easy it is with us, because we're using blockchains like the Waves blockchain as a bridge cryptocurrency, and Steam, right? So these are two very easy systems to use to facilitate this, right? Now, EOS, and this could change, because they're coming up with a new hardware wallet that I think is going to solve a lot of these problems. And I forget the name, but they are working on it, so they won't be too far behind on this. The only thing will be is if they come out with this hardware wallet, they will then be limited by just being stuck to the EOS blockchain, whereas BitcoinNYK.com will be moving from blockchain to blockchain as it can do now. But the issue with the difficulty of the wallets is that, yes, it will somewhat hinder people. And then you have to pay for an EOS wallet. And these are all similar issues with the Steam blockchain, the EOS blockchain, and many in the cryptocurrency community are now seeing that, hey, these wallets are too complicated for people to use and to want to use. Ethereum's another one. And so all of the social networks that are using these complex wallets, you have to sync. And I understand the idea of it being meant to achieve more of a decentralized system. I get that, but it will also hinder the growth of the network. Another part is where we're very similar to EOS, and where I think this is going to be very great, is the governance that EOS uses. You elect the block producers, right? BitcoinNYK.com, same thing. You elect the people who distribute the tokens out. To us, this is the holy grail of what's decentralization needs to go, right? Miners doing their own thing, having the ability, only them, to roll back the Bitcoin blockchain and development on Bitcoin Core, to us is not the best model, right? We need a governance model. We need a democratic model. We need a delegated model that is the future, we believe, of cryptocurrency. And that's why many of us don't feel like Bitcoin in the end will be the premier cryptocurrency. This is a very revolutionary news, guys. This is very big news. And I hope that you all really take a moment and let this sink in and not just skim over it, right? And looking at prices and just going, oh, it's up 3% today, 2% today, and it's down 1%. We need revolutionary change, right? We need something that could change the world. The gambling casino mindset that we have in cryptocurrency. Can I make 5% today? Can I make 2% today and no percent tomorrow? Or negative 100% tomorrow? Is part of the problem and what needs to change. this EOS announcement is very big for BtcMyk.com holders. Because like I said, guys, what's going to happen is all this is doing is it's going to shine a spotlight on this new way of cryptocurrency to do things. When people see EOS put millions upon millions of dollars behind making their universal basic income program work, making their social network work in a more fair sense, you know, that's the other part. A lot of these social networks that depend on, let's say, money coming in and certain groups, certain caste systems, certain specific groups to kind of prop up the system. Those systems are not going to work well in the future, and they're going to be a hindrance to the growth of the blockchain, right? We got to get more creative in how we sustain these systems and give value to these systems. And as much as I love projects like Steemit.com is kind of stuck in fifth gear when it comes to social network inner workings, right? And there are social networks that are rising up that are creating new ways to do things. Now, the great thing about Steem as a blockchain, Steem is one of the best and easiest blockchains to build on. And I like their wallet situation, right? It's still a lot easier than EOS's wallets. It's easier than Ethereum wallets, right? Tron wallets and all of that. So Steem has the making to be a great project, right? But they have to make some changes. Now, the good thing, building upon the Steem blockchain, we as a community can make those changes. BtcMyk.com is such a project that's done that. It has made those changes that are necessary in the social media aspect of what happens on the Steem blockchain. And the Steemit.com model is problematic, and where it has worked up until now, I don't think it's going to work against what's going to happen when EOS throws hundreds of millions of dollars at a social network, right? More than likely what's going to happen is going to start to pull Steemit users over to EOS, and it's going to make the value of Steemit less. So in order to stop that, guys, we have to combat that straight head on. Projects like BtcMyk.com is the only project I know to date that can even come close to addressing what EOS will do with its social media. Now, again, we don't, as far as the EOS community watching this, and I'm very happy for you all. If the universal basic income program part is true, then I am part of your community as well. Because like I said before, universal basic income projects aren't in competition. We're kind of linked at the hip, joined at the hip. We are one and the same. And any universal basic income project I think that you speak to would say the same thing, that there is no competition. So in that sense, BtcMyk.com could never be a competitor of EOS, provided the universal basic income portion is correct. And from what I understand about Dan Larimer, he's a person I always like. He and I have very similar views and ideas about Buddhism, similar ideas about how economies should work and systems should work. That over years of studying, I found many aspects of some of his ideologies and minds to be true and verifiable to myself. But this is where it has to go, guys. And people who ignore this or try to get around this, I think history and the data is going to show that you're not going to be able to do it, that it has to be a move in this direction. BtcMyk.com is already up functioning. And we're hoping everything goes right with EOS, because we know it's going to only add value to our system, bring it up as well, along with what EOS is doing, provided they do it correct. The thing they would have to do next is make those wallets easier on EOS. And from what I understand, some of their big tech people are working on such a wallet now, so they're going to have a very easy wallet for mass adoption if the information is correct. My statement now and my appeal to you all who are in cryptocurrency, in social media, who are using these Ethereum-based wallets, who are using these sync-based wallets, who are using these very complicated, difficult wallets with your projects, it is hindering your project. It will destroy your project. It will make your project not very usable to the masses of people. It's horrible to the user experience. Everybody says the same thing. Developers from EOS to Steemit to what have you say that these wallets that you're using with Ethereum, that you're using with Tron and a variety of things, will not create any type of mass adoption or great uses for new people coming in and even old people coming in, because I know how to use these wallets and I hate to use them. I do everything in my power to not use them. So that is a cry out to you all to change your systems before it's too late and you're a victim of it. But that's all only news I got to say about this today. Very exciting news. I am looking forward to June the 1st. Tell me all what you think about this. And until next time, guys, take care.